Have you ever thought about doing yoga at your desk? Better yet, the benefits of taking a 5-minute break in between emails or do it. Have you ever thought about doing yoga at your desk? Better yet, the benefits of taking a 5-minute break in between emails to do a quick sun salutation. Don't know what a sun salutation is? No problem. Welcome to Social PR Secrets. Today, my guest is Megan Nolan. She makes it her mission to empower entrepreneurs and professionals who might be stuck at their desk or just stuck in general to use the superpowers of breath work, energy, and yoga. One of the realizations we had during the interview is that everyone's their own entrepreneur of their life. It's up to you to do things to create an ROI, a return on investment for your health and mental wellness. Let's settle in, take a breath, relax, and tune into the good vibes from Megan. Welcome, Megan, to the podcast. How are you?
Good, thank you. So great to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I've been, kind of watching you since we met through JVology a few months back and admiring all of your content and your concept and your approach to what I think is, I'm very dedicated to it as well, as helping entrepreneurs bring balance and yoga specifically into their daily office life. I think that is amazing. So Megan, if you could just share with us a little bit about your business and your journey of how you got to where you are today with this amazing concept.
Sure, thank you. So I am both a personal trainer and I teach yoga. And originally my educational background was in gerontology. And when I graduated from university, I decided I just was far too empathetic to go work in a nursing home. So I decided to take a more preventative approach to aging and became a trainer. And shortly after having been practicing yoga already for about 5 years at that point, decided to become a yoga teacher because I really saw how much those worlds kind of overlapped and really complemented each other. Because as a trainer, I was always, wanting people to strengthen and move and all of that. And I never was that like push you till you puke, work really hard sort of personality. So I thought it would be nice to overlay the mind body awareness, that internal awareness, and cultivating that relationship with self with exercise. So my work has always blended those two worlds. And so I like to kind of integrate that into everything I do. And so that was about, well, I've been doing the work for 16 years. So however many years ago that was, 11 years, I guess. And so I've been really, as we all do, sort of reincarnating it and making it look a little bit different. And pre-COVID was doing a lot of workplace wellness. So I was working with a lot of different financial institutions and large organizations here on Maui. Like, for example, I've taught yoga inside all the power plants to guys wearing coveralls and work boots, and they were really open to it, which was interesting, because at first when we were doing it, they all had that sort of like, what is going on look on their face, but came up to me after of like, nobody's ever taught me how to breathe. And so realizing that, this work is so applicable to everyone, and when people are open to it, it really helps them learn more about themselves. And so last year in March, with the beginning of the pandemic, I shifted everything online. I was already online with a program called Yoga at My Desk to help people learn how to take yoga breaks throughout their workday, but really shifted and recognized that the tools of yoga are applicable and helpful in every situation, but especially in uncertain situations when people are kind of feeling like worried, fearful, doubtful, concerned of what was happening on a global scale, and also within themselves for their own business and their health and their family and all of that. And so really sort of shifted gears to teach people the empowerment aspect of yoga, because a lot of times people, based on what we see on social media, people think, oh, like, am I supposed to look like Cirque du Soleil or twist myself into a pretzel? And really, when people start to understand a deeper level and the effects of what you're actually practicing when you're standing on one foot, of being present, being patient with yourself, learning to be gentle and compassionate, so they beginning to share that different perspective on it. So we recognize it's a much broader tool set than you might think when you first go to yoga. And so this has become really transferable for working with entrepreneurs, because I believe that, And I'm sure we can all relate that it's quite a roller coaster and ups and downs, and there's challenges and there's awesome days and then there's struggles. And so really recognizing that, when we get on the mat and we embody that centered, charismatic, focused version of ourselves that we're practicing when we practice yoga, that translates into you showing up as that version of you in your business so that you can make the impact and the income that you're destined for. And yes, it helps you keep your bones healthy and your muscles strong and stress down and your hormones balanced and all those things. But really, it's such a transferable skill set to everyone, but specifically to entrepreneurs. And so that's really kind of been my, very abbreviated version of the last 16 years of doing this work.
Yes, and I really love the yoga at my desk because, and I was also reading on your website before we started the interview, just, for your offerings, your courses that you have, that what do you need? And you say, like, I was thinking it was going to be like, you need a mat, you need a block, you need this, and you need that. But, you actually say you really don't need anything. And like, I think it's such a misconception. Like you were saying, you look on Instagram at, some of these, the people that are the yoga masters, yoga instructors, that it's like very intimidating. And I've been doing yoga for 20 years and it's not that intimidating to me because I can do some of that stuff, but some of it, it's like, wait, like, that's like way over the top. That really isn't what going to a yoga class is all about. And so it's intimidating. And I think I'm also happy that it's become more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like sometimes it's so mainstream that people they're like, oh yeah, I do yoga, but like they don't really embrace it. Like the example that you're giving, where they really look at it like, okay, yoga can be something that you like practice in 5 minutes. It doesn't need to be going to a class and having a mat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of what you're bringing, to the entrepreneurs and mompreneurs, solopreneurs, students, high school, college, that everybody needs to realize that it could really take a minute to 5 minutes to really get the benefits of yoga, and you don't have to have a mat. Can you give some examples of like what are some of the actionable examples that somebody can like get a glimmer of what they would get if they signed up for some of your courses?
For sure. Thank you. And that was my goal, to make it accessible, because, when people were working in offices, they didn't necessarily have a lot of space, or they don't have, long time during their day, but really sneaking it in, because realistically, the human body is not designed to sit all day. And it's specifically not designed to sit slouched over a keyboard looking like a croissant. So it's really when you can integrate little movement breaks throughout the day. So here's an actionable tip: is drink more water. So you have to get up and go to the toilet more often, which just automatically means that you're moving. But it's also great for your spine and for your joints and your brain health and all that. But that's a good one. And then if you need a reminder, like many people, myself including, set a timer for whenever you sit down at your desk for 25 minutes. Some people find that's too short, so they like to do a longer work segment of 45 minutes, but set an alarm so that when it goes off, and you have to, for the most part, myself included, have to really make yourself get up and move for that break time. It's a style of work called Pomodoro training or Pomodoro productivity. And so it mandates that you take a break. So when you take that break, it's actually good for your brain, for your focus, your creativity. So get up, and as simple as stand up and stretch your arms out really wide. So for those of you that can't see the video, you're just reaching your arms out wide, and then exactly like that. So think of like
Kate so
Winslet.
good.
I know, right? It's so simple.
It feels so good.
It's so simple, and it's really just bringing you back into the S curve, because your spine is shaped like an S ideally, but when we sit, it's the croissant shape, right? So when you do it, think of Kate Winslet, remember in the Titanic when she's on the boat, and you really lift your belly and lift your heart, and you lift your chin up. That's it.
Yeah, it feels amazing. Yes, that's awesome. And I think I love the Pomodoro method. We talk about that in one of our other podcast interviews, and Miranda, I brought her in to teach my staff the Pomodoro method, because it's definitely, from a productivity standpoint. But what I love about the breaks is that it helps you kind of reset and set you up to be in hopefully like some sort of a flow state, where the creativity is just like coming in easier, and there's space for the creativity and the ideas to come, because when we're just like not taking breaks all day, it just, you're staring at a screen and nothing's happening. Like the idea is not going to come out of the screen. It has to come out of your brain.
Exactly.
People
Totally.
think if they sit and stare at a screen long enough, they're going to come up with an idea, but really it's the opposite. If they get away from the screen for 5 minutes, the idea comes.
Totally. And yeah, it's so funny because somehow we have to convince ourselves that. But remember when we were kids, we'd have recess, and that was, partly to give the teachers a break, but partly because it's very good for your body, oxygenates your system and energizes your muscles so that you're back in that strong alignment. Because the reality of the slouched position is your muscles get sleepy, everything slows down. So you're taking really short and shallow breaths because you're in a weaker posture. So your body starts to breathe with backup muscles, which are in your neck and shoulders, which means more neck shoulder tension. And when you take those short and shallow breaths, it triggers stress. So whether or not you think you're under stress, your body is like, where's the saber-toothed tiger? I'm not sure, but she's breathing like it's here. And it shuts down your higher brain functions of creativity, focus, decision-making, all of those things, because it's in survival mode. So getting up and moving your body, whatever it is for you, maybe you take your dog outside for, a little bathroom break, or you do some dancing or yoga or something. It really moves your body back into strong alignment. It allows your body to breathe deeply. So it decreases brain fog. It acts as a energizing focus because your blood flow starts to really go back up to your brain because you're not slouched over. And so it really helps you to actually get more done when you go back into the work interval.
Yes. So I'm really into analytics, and I have had a Fitbit since Fitbits came out, but the newer Fitbits give you some amazing insights on breath and sleep and resting heart rate and things like that, that all, the meditation and the breath work that you do or don't do, you can actually like see the results like in black and white if you're using a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. And it's just amazing. The best example that I'd like to share is that at night, I'll put on one of the guided meditations that came with the Fitbit, and Deepak Chopra is one of them. And I'll listen to it, and then the next morning it'll be like, "Oh, do you want to record that session?" Yes, I want to record it. And then it shows my heart rate before and then after, and how it drops. And I just think that is such amazing example of like, why wouldn't you want to do something like this, to how you can just see in black and white how it improves your health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about like the impact of yoga and sleep?
Absolutely. Yeah, what you're speaking to there is when we go into a meditative or relaxed state, your heart goes into a consistent rhythm. So when we're under stress, think about it. When you're under stress, you're kind of agitated, you're a little bit jumpy because your body's trying to react. So when you're in a calm state, your heart rate goes into a very consistent pattern. And when it's in that coherent or consistent pattern, it signals the same thing to your brain. And then when your brain and your heart are in a consistent rhythm with each other, it signals a massive state of release and peace for your body. So it starts to send out calming and relaxing neurotransmitters. So chemicals in your brain, shifts you into a healing state, repairing state. It increases cellular repair. It's shown to actually slow down the aging process. So all of those good things, even just by taking a little mini yoga break throughout the day. So what that translates to sleep is that when we are in a calm and relaxed state, we go more easily into the deeper sleep rhythms, and we get more restorative sleep, because stress affects us whether we're sleeping or we're awake, because your body is still trying to repair, because in stress mode, it's like go, go, go. And it's sending out all your blood to your muscles that are going to help you run or fight, right? So the fight or flight. When you're in a calm, relaxed state, then it's in a repair state and it's healing. And so then we have more energy because your body's ready to go. Your digestion is better. Your metabolism is better, more efficient, elimination, all of those things are benefited. So when you can, even like you're doing, which is so beautiful, when you can do that little bit of time, and really it doesn't take very much, like there's a shift in your body after 3 deep breaths. Ideally you go for a little longer than that, because that's maybe like a minute, but if that's all you got, do it. It's so powerful. So when you have that calming state, you're signaling to your body like, okay, the day is done and we can shift now, we can relax. And because, as entrepreneurs, we have like a million and one things that we want to get doing. And, if you're in a launch, you're waking up in the middle of the night because you got like, 100 things you still need to do and all of that. So if you can do whatever you need to do at the end of the day to wrap it up, make a to-do list, celebrate your wins, victories, gratitude, whatever that looks like for you, and then shift into a calm state, then you have a better sleep quality throughout the night.
Definitely. So working with entrepreneurs as much as you do, are there some common, are there like 2 or 3 things that you just say to all entrepreneurs? And you know what, like I'm talking about entrepreneurs, but I think today it's fair to say that, even if you don't own your own business, you're an entrepreneur of your own life. So this
I
is
like that.
applicable to everybody. You're the business owner of your being, of your body. So what are like maybe 2 or 3 key things that just applies to entrepreneurs and that you say over and over again?
No one can do the way you do what you do. So you are invaluable in your life. So if we speak to somebody who is the entrepreneur of their life or is an entrepreneur of their business, the common denominator is you, right? And how you show up and how you feel influences everything. If you're grouchy and tired with your kids, it's not going to go the same way as if you're ready to be present with them. If you are feeling wrung out and burnt out in your business and in your launch, when your cart opens and you get there and you're just like so frazzled and so depleted, it's going to affect your sales because it's going to affect your energy, right? And so whether you look at it from that, more woo-woo spiritual out there energy alignment, all of that, or just how you're showing up, how you're feeling, and your presence, your patience, all of those things, it's affected by how you feel. And when you do something that nourishes you, your body, your mind, your spirit, it benefits everything. And it's really like the ROI, the return on investment of you taking time for yourself is massive because it affects how you are, running your business and your relationships.
Definitely. And I think it goes with the saying that really the only person you can change is yourself. And when you change yourself, that's going to impact your energy and your relation with business and with family and friends and, the universe, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that. And I want to talk a little bit about, from a social PR secret standpoint, how you grew your business using social media and marketing. And if you could, before you get into that, just talk a little bit, explain your business structure and what you're offering through Yoga at My Desk and some of your courses.
Sure. So I have Yoga at My Desk, which is a membership structure. So people can opt in and get unlimited access to over 30 different videos and a growing library of meditations. And so that's an ongoing offer. And then I recently released and made into an ongoing offer, a program that I have that's called Wake the Warrior Within. So that's diving into the warrior poses and the ancient story behind them and how it cultivates ways of being and living that are really powerful and useful in our life off the mat. And then I do have a 12-week ongoing, which I just started, which I just launched this week, which is so awesome. So that is a program that's specifically customized for entrepreneurs, using the tools of yoga, of meditation and brain science to really become the version of you that your business needs you to be. So I do have a few ongoing virtual sessions with businesses here on Maui, but most of my work is now online. And so it's kind of morphed over the last year and a half for sure.
I like it. It's more accessible because you're in Hawaii, and while I
Yes.
really would love an excuse to come visit you, we can experience Megan through some of your memberships and your offerings. And I was looking on your website. I mean, they're very affordable. The membership offerings and the one that you just launched for entrepreneurs, is that something that it's open all the time to join, or it's
That will be run probably at least twice a year, but maybe 3 times. So because I'm in the very early stages of that, I haven't really finalized how that's going to look. But yes, so that one is running now for 12 weeks and it'll be done in September. So that I will offer again in the winter or late fall. Yeah, but the other ones are always available.
So we'll put in the show notes links to all of these different offerings that we're talking about. If anybody's interested, definitely check it out. And like I was saying earlier, I'm part of one of your Facebook groups. I don't know if it's the only one, but I really was just I'm inspired by it. And being in the social media, PR, marketing business, I know how important it is to build community and to really be authentic and transparent in your true self. And you have all those boxes checked. But if you could give us lift the curtain up for us and let us know, give us some tips on how you grew your Facebook group, if you want to start there.
Sure. Yeah. So I did for a while have a bunch of them going on with, a yoga at my desk one and Wake the Warrior Within and then entrepreneur. And I was like, too much. I need to consolidate. So I would say if you can streamline, do so, because then you can give it your attention, right? My coach says, focus on one bridge at a time until you get really dialed in. Because if you got 100 bridges, everything only gets a little trickle. So I'd say consolidation, if you can do that, is a great place to start. The group has grown organically on its own at a slower pace than when I do different events. So when you have a launch or when you have a free workshop or something like that, that is, definitely a time when I've seen a lot of people come into the community to experience that free workshop or what have you. And so that's been a great time to really invite people in. And so it's been really fun to have those events that are really a time to connect with people, offer tools, resources, value, and then being able to connect with them and continue to build that relationship. I've done a couple of the giveaways, where you invite a bunch of people to gift an offer and they present, and then one person wins because they invite as many people as possible into the group. And while it did grow the group, I don't think it was necessarily an aligned audience. So, depending on if you can really dial it in, that might be a successful strategy for you. For me, it was a lot more work than what it actually turned out to be. So I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend that, but it definitely works for other super large groups. So that, for the most part, is that the strategies that I've been using, but also being open about inviting people to it, having ongoing events that you have that are no pitch, so bringing in other guest experts to share their magic has been a really fun addition to that. And so it's an opportunity to partner and share the community with other people and vice versa. So I really like that element. And then just continuing to invite people and like you said, it's a community element, and, recognizing that it needs to be a two-way conversation, because if it's just going to be a billboard of hello, look at me, come and do this workshop, oh, me again, then it's a really one-sided communication. And so I really like to do fun things. And so, it's called Elevated and Empowered Entrepreneur. So the empowerment is tools for you to navigate life, and elevation is that elevation of your inner state. So while it's not necessarily all about yoga and fitness, it's ongoing relationship building. Tell me where you live, my recent post, which I think is so funny, and it's such a fun insight gaining one, was, what would you be if you fulfilled your childhood dreams? So remember, when you were a kid, half the people wanted to be a veterinarian or an astronaut. And so I just thought it was super cute. It's a conversational, right? We forget that there's people that you're connecting with on that level of oh, okay, this is how you build a friendship.
Yeah, definitely.
Questions about themselves.
Definitely. What percentage is your Facebook group in your whole, if you had a pie chart of your marketing and PR efforts, what percentage do you think the Facebook group is, and what else are you doing besides that to promote your business?
Good question. I would say it's definitely at least half. It's, and then I have my email list that I connect with at least twice a week to share more value. And then Instagram.
By the way, can I just comment on your emails? They're amazing. I would never unsubscribe to your emails because they are so valuable. And are you doing I don't know who's doing the writing, but the writing is fabulous. Yes, it's so good. So good. It's so refreshing. Yeah. So, I think that you have, just your way that your writing comes across as super authentic and super connected. And it just, it's not intrusive in any way. And it's I don't know how you think of some of these things that you write about, but it's awesome. It's very creative. So
Thank
sorry to
you.
interrupt, but I meant
No,
to even tell you that even like, if it didn't come up on the interview, I was going to email you on one of the emails and be like, who's your writer?
thank you. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah, that's funny because I was doing an interview this morning in the community actually with a woman who's, I forget what her title she called herself, but she's an author and she's an art teacher. And we were talking about creativity and how creativity is, we got to think outside the box when it comes to that, because while I'm, oh, sorry, everything's fine. Just one.
Mhm. That's what I figured. We have hurricanes here, so we don't have that, but like, I get it.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. I figured it was
It's the
something like
monthly
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, it's, you're like, oh, okay, I forgot about that. But then I forgot. I should have scheduled a different time with you. But yes. So thank you. I appreciate that. And speaking of creativity and how it can be anything, right? And I was sharing with her that I feel like my creative outlet has been through my sessions and my classes and also through my writing. And I was saying to her, I used to be really more intentional about writing for myself, I guess I could say, versus writing for my business. But now I've sort of streamlined it. I'm like, well, if my business and my brand is me, then when I write, I should just share me, right? And so share my stories and my experiences. And so that's, thank you. I really appreciate that compliment.
And oh yeah, and I think that that is a great point to make, that I see a lot of CEOs or business owners that, grow their business to the point where they're not as involved, and it was their voice and it was their personality and their authenticity that really impacted the growth of their business. And then they get to a certain point and then they're not, they don't have that connection. And I think that that's a mistake that brands make, if that's why the business, grew to the point that it was. And then we'll see, like, CEOs that aren't connected with their audience, and then they'll come and do some sort of an event and they'll speak and everybody's like, oh my God, she's amazing, or he's so awesome. And it's like, okay, well, that's why you really need to keep that consistency, your authentic, true self, even no matter what size your business is, because that's who, that's the connection point. That's the connection to humanizing your brand. And you can't humanize your brand with, a marketing department that isn't like really the true authentic self of the brand. Does that make sense? As authentic as marketing departments try to be, like, you can't really replicate, like, you own the business and it's your voice, and you're the one that kind of helps connect the dots. And like, look at Oprah and look at Deepak, like nobody's talking for them,
No, no.
they're still doing their lives on their own, and they don't have to have this big camera crew. They're able to just like go live. And I just think like a lot of brands miss that point of the authenticity and being yourself, and like not having to hire marketers that don't understand the brand.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard. And I agree with you. I think it can be hard because we see these really polished expressions of somebody's brand. And while that I think has value and is important, a lot of it has to do with coming out and just being yourself. And iPhones are so amazing and high tech right now that you can just go live with your iPhone and not worry about like how it's going to be this or that, but being willing to be authentic and be vulnerable and just put yourself out there consistently is so powerful, for sure.
Definitely. So we got sidetracked. You were telling us in your pie chart of marketing and PR.
Oh yeah.
So 50% is your Facebook group, and then the
Uh-huh.
next is email. And what else do you do?
Instagram. Instagram. And I'm trying to be more consistent with that. Again, speaking to the streamlining, I've, had like I have another small business. So there's that one that's probably always going to need to stand alone, but needed to consolidate the other two. And so streamline those. And then I would say referrals as well. But yeah, maybe I need to bump up the Facebook group to take a little more of the pie chart then. So, because it seems
How
to
much
be.
time do you spend each day or each week in your Facebook group? And do you have any resources that help you manage it?
When I do launches, I have people that come in and help me during the live for, commenting, engaging with people, tagging, etc., inviting people to the community. So that I find is really helpful. And you can do that, somebody domestically or having people overseas that can help you, and so that I found to be really helpful. And then I guess I do try to automate, but with the engagement posts, it's like I want to go in there and talk with people. And so, especially right now where we're still relatively isolated, it's nice to be able to have those conversations. And so it is a boundary that I really am working on fortifying.
Boundaries, that word, boundaries.
Yeah.
That's my favorite word. Yeah. Because I need to work on it, everybody does.
Mhm.
The way that we met, though, through JVology, seems like that is a piece of your pie chart of your marketing, the
Yes.
collaborations and joint ventures. I'm just kind of getting into that now. JVology was my first event that I went to, and I like very excited to kind of be at this new reset of my business life. So can you talk a little bit about your experience with joint ventures and collaborations and maybe some, actionable tips that others can take with this?
Yes, for sure. I'm relatively new as well. I had only gone to one other event before JVology Live, but I really like the concept of it. And going from offering just one service, which is very useful and helpful, to being able to make suggestions for my community feels really nice, because I know that as a business owner, there's many facets to your business, and your health and happiness is a huge part of that, but it's not the only component. So bringing other guest experts into my community kind of fits under that empowerment piece. And so I'm really enjoying that from the community perspective and from the personal relationship perspective of getting to know new people like yourself and being able to have these fun conversations where we start to see other people's creative outlet and their magic and what they're sharing. And so I really have been enjoying that as well. And then so my last launch, I used joint ventures for the first time, which was great. And so it's definitely a learning curve with everything, there is. And so it was great. And I feel like it allowed me to connect with a lot more people. And then, it's a relationship process. And so I think it's interesting because I found that it's always about alignment, right? So like, people were open to sharing, but when people are focused very much on, say, business strategy as their mechanism for connecting with their audience, which is obviously very important, that audience may not necessarily be as aligned and open-minded to like the benefits of health and yoga when it comes to growing and maintaining your business. So I think it's like anything, it's kind of finding the people that really your audiences match up in that way that's really complementary. So it's definitely a learning curve, but overall I'd say it was a really great experience, and I'm definitely going to continue it.
Yes, I'm on the same page. And so do you have an affiliate program with your offerings? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'm just now starting, like I said, dipping my toe into affiliate marketing and affiliate programs. And for my courses, I just finished setting up all the affiliate programs. So I think, for me being in the internet marketing world, digital PR world, like affiliate had kind of like a weird reputation, but it really like doing it the way that we're doing it, and that, this other side of the affiliate marketing, like I want to just call it the legit side, does it really makes sense. It's almost basically like just influencer marketing, but very, compensated and structured and,
Mhm.
to the point of sale. So do you have any tips for somebody that is, thinking about like exploring this? Are there things that you wish you would have done different, or any platforms that you love or don't like?
I would say that the community that we got connected at JVology is really helpful because they're really set up for it and they give you a lot of tools for it, because when people understand the relationship and the back and forth and the supporting, it's a lot easier, because I've connected with other people that are not necessarily in that community, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll help you. But it's not as easy because they're
Mhm.
not really sure of like what that's supposed to look like. Even if you lay it all out for them and you set them, give them all the swipe copy and all the things, everybody's got a lot going on in their own business. And so I think it's my two words are patient and persistent. So they may seem like opposites, but I think they're very complementary, because we want to set it up for success, but then, be there to remind, but also not being annoying.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I
it's a real
agree.
fine line.
I totally agree. When I did JVology in April, I really had no idea what to expect. And I thought, oh, I'll just do this, half the time, and the other half the time I'll do my agency. And I realized very quickly that it really needed to be more of a focus, but I also realized that it's not an overnight thing, and that it really,
Yeah.
you just have to, it's about relationship nurturing and building and taking it slow and steady. And that's really, I think now that I've really stepped back and not rushing anything, just taking it, very methodical is, I think, the right direction. If you try to do something really quick, an affiliate program or a joint venture just doesn't happen quickly, but
Mhm.
it's like public relations. Public relations doesn't happen overnight. You have to stick with the momentum and keep putting it out there and building up that, that relationship. And eventually, like, you get the story, or the journalist calls you, or you get invited to speak at the event, or all these things, fall into place.
Mhm.
But it's not going to happen with like one quick call.
True. And we're conditioned to want those instant gratification, quick results, and
Yeah.
organic approaches to marketing and PR are definitely going to take their time, and that's, again, we're going back to that, like, how we interact as humans and how we can connect and support each other as people, but of course, obviously business owners. And so I totally agree. It's definitely, it's a long game, but I think it will be a really successful and important part of our growth as business owners, if you're willing and you want to commit. And I think we all should, is nurturing that relationship with other business owners, and being willing to support each other however we can, so that we can all benefit, right? And we can all grow, because the pie is big enough for everybody. And so I think that's important to remember, for sure.
Definitely. And I definitely agree about the structure that I learned from JVology was very helpful. And I'm definitely going to do another one of the events. So I also recommend that. Any last words of advice on, any tips that have worked really well for you from a social media, PR, marketing standpoint?
One thing that I think is really important, and that I suggest to my students and my clients, is to really connect with that big vision that you have for yourself and for your business, and connect to that version of you that's already achieved those goals. So who is she or he? How does she show up? How does she hold herself? What's her energy? What are, her beliefs, her thoughts that she has? And begin to, as much as you can, begin to embody that now, because what it does is it really sets you up to show up in alignment with achieving those results and dreams and goals. But it also allows you to really get authentically aware of how you're showing up in your business. And if we're showing up in that sort of grasping energy of like, what do I got to do? How many people do I got to meet today? It changes how your energy is coming across. And when you can show up in a place of center within yourself and feeling present, feeling grounded, taking that time for yourself to either, do the visualizations or meditations that we were speaking of, to really allow your mind, your body, and yourself to get connected. And whether that's through yoga or dance or Tai Chi or whatever it is, to really connect into that higher version of you, so that you're moving from that place of openness and connection, is really key. And it does really impact how your day goes, how your energy flows, all of those things, because you are worth your time and attention. And I know the to-do list is a mile long, but it's really going to affect your productivity, your performance, and your output.
I totally agree. And like we said earlier, it doesn't have to be hours of input. It could be literally 5 minutes. And another example I want to share that I just started doing is somebody gave me like 5 years ago a meditation coloring book.
Mhm.
And I just had it like packed away, and I just unpacked and found it. And I just started 5 minutes when I'm having my coffee in the morning, just like using colored pencils and just coloring, like it's kind of like all of the prints are like the tapestry behind you. So I'm just like coloring in little things, and it just makes such a difference. Like I'm just amazed, and it's like, why didn't I start doing this earlier? Like it's 5 minutes, like 5 minutes of just like coloring or doodling can make a difference. So hopefully this inspires whoever's listening, and I will put, Megan, all of your details in the show notes so that people can find you and sign up for your membership or for your entrepreneur program, whatever works for them. And I really appreciate your time. And it's been a very insightful interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been so fun to chat with you. So grateful to be here and connect with your community. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Social PR Secrets. If you like what you heard, check out the book on Amazon or follow our blog at socialprsecrets.com. This episode was sponsored by The Buyer Group, a social PR agency striving to keep our balance in the digital world, practicing public relations, social media, and search marketing, while occasionally drinking a glass of wine or two for the best creativity and results. Thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to get a free chapter of Social PR Secrets, go to socialprsecrets.com/free.